Welcome to Aligned with Ami. If you're listening to this while life feels uncertain, while something is ending, shifting, or no longer fits, I want you to know this episode is for you. Let's take a moment to arrive. Inhale slowly through the nose and exhale softly through the mouth. Let your shoulders drop, let your breath settle. You don't need to be anywhere else right now. There's a space we don't talk about enough. The space between who you were and who you are becoming. The in-between. It's the season where old identities loosen, but new ones haven't fully formed. Where answers feel far away. Where clarity feels delayed. Where you may look fine on the outside, but feel ungrounded on the inside. And yet, this space is not a mistake. It's a transition. The in-between is uncomfortable because it removes familiar anchors. Routine shift, role shift, certainty dissolves. Even if the transition was chosen, there can still be grief. Grief for what was known, grief for who you were in that chapter. Your nervous system feels this before your mind can make sense of it. So, if you feel restless, emotional, tired, or unsure, nothing is wrong. Your system is adjusting. And here's the key. Discomfort doesn't mean misalignment. Sometimes it means recalibration. I want to share a connected story here. There was a period in my life where from the outside everything looked stable, but internally I felt deeply unmoored. I had been teaching yoga for many years, in person, in community, in shared breath and energy. And then COVID happened. Almost overnight, the way I taught and the way I connected changed. Classes moved online, screens replaced rooms, mute buttons replaced breath cues and shared silence. And while I was grateful to still teach, something essential felt lost. I couldn't feel the room anymore. I couldn't sense energy the way I used to. I couldn't read bodies, breath, or nervous systems in the same way. Yoga, something that had always felt so embodied and relational, suddenly felt distant, disconnected. And I remember thinking, why does this feel so hard? Shouldn't I just adapt and move on? What I was grieving wasn't just logistics. I was grieving connection, touch, presence. The subtle, unspoken communication that lives in a shared space. If I wasn't teaching in the way I'd always known, who was I now? I felt suspended between what had been and what hadn't yet formed. And that in between was lonely and sometimes scary. I tried to push through it at first, to stay productive, to be positive, but alignment asked something else of me. It asked me to slow down, to listen more closely, to acknowledge the loss instead of rushing past it. Some days, staying aligned meant letting myself feel unsteady without needing to fix it. Some days, it meant admitting I didn't know what the next version of my teaching would look like. And slowly, without force, a new relationship to my work began to emerge. One that wasn't dependent on a room or a schedule or a familiar structure. That season taught me something I still carry. Alignment doesn't always feel grounded. Sometimes it feels like floating, learning to trust yourself without solid ground. And even then, you are still aligned. We often think alignment means clarity, direction, confidence, but alignment in the in-between looks different. It might look like rest instead of action, fewer decisions, slower mornings, saying, I don't know yet, letting yourself be unfinished. Alignment here isn't about figuring it all out. It's about staying connected to yourself while things are still unfolding. There's often pressure, internal or external, to move on quickly, to explain what's happening, to make meaning right away, to prove that the transition is worth it. But rushing steals something important: integration. Growth needs space. Becoming takes time. You are allowed to linger here. Here's a reflection to think about. Where am I trying to skip ahead instead of staying present? Here are a few gentle ways to support yourself during this season. First, anchor in the body. When the future feels uncertain, return to sensation. Breath, feet on the floor, hands on the heart. Second, shrink the timeline. You don't need to know the year ahead. Ask instead, what would support me today? Third, honor what's ending. Even if it was the right choice, even if you're relieved, grief and alignment can coexist. Fourth, protect what's still forming. Not everyone needs access to your becoming. Share selectively. Let things grow quietly. Here's the key. Alignment doesn't require an explanation. Let's root down together. If it feels safe to do so, close your eyes. Feel the surface beneath you and supporting you without effort. Bring awareness to your breath. Inhale gently, exhale slowly. Now imagine roots extending from your feet or your seat. Even if the surface feels unstable, the roots remain steady. You can repeat to yourself, inhale, I am supported. Exhale, I allow this season. You don't need answers right now. You only need presence. Rest here for a few breaths. If you're in the in-between, please remember this. You are not behind, you are not lost, and you are not doing this wrong. Alignment doesn't disappear during transition. It simply asks you to stay close to yourself while everything else rearranges. And that is more than enough. Thank you for being here with me. If you would like to further this discussion or work with me, please head to my website at alignwithami.com or on Instagram and YouTube at alignedwithami. Until next time, I will be right here to support your energy, awareness, and alignment.